All right, let's talk about something you probably have stuck to your fridge right this second: a magnet. We're going to uncover how this simple, everyday object is actually at the heart of a massive global drama. We're talking green energy, national defense, the future of technology. It's all tied up in this one little thing. And it all kicks off with a simple and, well, a surprisingly controversial question.
So you've probably seen this clip go viral, right? It became a whole thing. But look, we're not here to get into politics, not at all. We're going to use this as a really fascinating jumping-off point because it actually brings up a decent question. What do most of us really know about magnets anyway?
And here's the real kicker. What if that general lack of awareness, that feeling of, how do they work, is actually hiding a huge, critical vulnerability for pretty much the entire global economy? Well, that is the mystery we are diving into today.
Okay, so to understand the crisis, we first have to understand the power. Let's do a quick deep dive and demystify what makes a magnet a magnet. It really all starts with having the right ingredients.
It all begins with something called a ferromagnetic material. Stuff like iron, nickel, or cobalt. The secret is deep down at the atomic level. The way their electrons spin gives every single atom its own tiny little natural magnetic field.
So how do you actually unlock that power? Well, if you just have a regular chunk of iron, all those tiny atomic magnets are grouped into these microscopic neighborhoods called domains. But they're all just pointing in random directions, completely canceling each other out. It's chaos. To make a magnet, you have to hit it with a really powerful external magnetic field. And that forces all those little domains to snap into formation, all pointing the same direction. When they all work together like that, bam, you get the powerful, unified field that we all know.
But here's the deal. Your standard iron magnet is just not going to cut it for the modern world. For things like electric cars, wind turbines, and smartphones, we need something way, way stronger. We need supermagnets. And the key ingredients for those are a special group of 17 metals called rare earth elements. Their unique atomic structures let them create magnetic fields that are just insanely powerful compared to plain old iron.
And in the world of rare earths, there are really two main superstars. First, you've got neodymium magnets. These are the strongest permanent magnets you can buy, period. They are absolutely essential for EV motors, for wind turbines, and even for that little motor in your phone that makes it vibrate. Then, on the other hand, you have samarium cobalt magnets. These guys are the champs when it comes to high temperatures. That makes them mission critical for things like aerospace and military hardware.
And this is where our story takes a really sharp turn, because the incredible power of these magnets has created an equally incredible dependency, a weak point in the global supply chain, and when you look at the numbers, it is just stark.
Just look at this number, 94%. This single figure is the entire reason we're talking about this. It's the whole crisis in a nutshell. But what does it represent?
It represents China's estimated share of the entire global production of these critical permanent magnets. Let that sink in. The rest of the world is scrambling for that tiny 6% sliver. This isn't just dominance, it's a near total monopoly. And it didn't happen by accident. For decades, China strategically poured investment into this industry, using lower costs and different regulations to build a processing and manufacturing empire that nobody else could compete with.
And the sheer amount of material we're talking about is staggering. In 2024 alone, China exported around 58,000 metric tons of these magnets. To put that into perspective, in just one peak month, say October of last year, the US alone imported 656 tons. This isn't some small dependency. It is a massive, constant flow of absolutely critical components.
Okay, so a 94% market share. That sounds big and abstract, but let's make it real. Why should you, personally, care where the world's magnets come from?
Because these supermagnets are completely non-negotiable parts in almost every single cornerstone of our modern lives. They are in the electric vehicle you want to buy. They're in the wind turbines that are powering our grid. They're in the smartphone that is in your pocket right now. They're in the MRI machines that save lives at the hospital. And maybe most critically, they are all over our most advanced defense systems like the F-35 fighter jets and sophisticated missile guidance systems.
And this right here is the terrifying part. The vulnerability is real, and it is immediate. According to reports, U.S. defense contractors might have less than a 2-month supply of these specialized magnets on hand at any given time. Think about that. Any disruption, any hiccup in that supply chain could have immediate, severe consequences for national security.
So you see, this isn't just about economics or supply and demand. This is strategic. When one country controls 94% of a material that another country needs for its defense, for its economy, that control can be used as a massive bargaining chip in any kind of trade talk or geopolitical dispute. It's a powerful weapon.
So what's the solution? How do you fix a problem this big? Well, the United States is now launching its most aggressive effort since probably the Cold War to tackle this head-on. It's an ambitious new industrial policy, a complete domestic mine-to-magnet plan.
The best way to get your head around this plan is to think of it like building a brand new superhighway with 3 main stops. First stop, the mine. This is where you dig the special dirt out of the ground. Second stop, the kitchen. This is a super complex refinery where you process that dirt into pure metal ingredients. And the final stop, the bakery, where you press and bake those ingredients into the finished, powerful magnets. For decades, America's highway was broken. We had the mine, but then we had to ship everything over to China's kitchens and bakeries to get the job done. Not anymore.
And listen, this isn't some pie-in-the-sky idea for 10 years from now. It is happening as we speak. The mine at Mountain Pass, California is up and running. New refining kitchens are being built right now in Texas and Utah. And the big magnet bakeries are expected to fire up for large-scale production around 2026, maybe 2027. And this whole thing is a race against the clock, because there is a hard deadline. By January 1st, 2027, the Department of Defense wants to be completely off Chinese rare earth magnets in its critical systems.
And they are putting serious money behind this plan. You're looking at over $700 million in federal loan commitments just for the new facilities. But what's maybe even more important is something that's not on this chart. The Department of Defense is also guaranteeing prices for these key materials. This is huge. It protects these new American companies from being wiped out by a potential price war, making sure they can actually survive and build this new industry from the ground up.
So, the plan is in motion. The money is there, the factories are being built. But this leaves us with one final and maybe the most crucial question of all. The technical blueprint, the financial plan to solve this magnet crisis, it exists. But in a world that feels so divided, so polarized, can a nation actually find the unity, the political will, to see a fundamental project like this all the way through to the end? That, really, is the biggest test of all.